I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show, we have Jeremiah Owyang, the CMO of RLY Network. Jeremiah, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Hey, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, Ashton.
You're very welcome. Let's dive into what RLY Network has been working on. I'm excited to hear more about the different projects that your team's working with, especially in the gaming sector. I feel like that's a huge spot for community growth and just like focus on bringing value through tokens. And I haven't really seen anything just like what RLY is working on. So let's just break into it with an intro of what you and your team have been building with RLY Network so far, and then we'll dive into all the details.
Sounds good. RLY Network is an ecosystem of consumer apps that have token economies, in particular fungible tokens. And they use our software, middleware software, RLY protocol. We're a permissionless, open source, no-feed, multi-chain protocol that helps games, social networks, creator economy apps all launch their own branded tokens.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And I feel like there's been a lot of experimenting over the last 5 years and a little bit longer on what makes a good token in a blockchain project, and how do you set it up successfully to ensure that it's not too much focus on the token and you're focused on the actual application and the users and growing the community. And with this tokenized consumer application sort of running on the RLY protocol, I feel like this is something new that's hopefully sustainable and good for the communities. What is the main value proposition behind the companies that are joining onto RLY Network versus just trying to make a token on their own?
Yeah, great question. So many of our partners, whether they're Web3, Web2, they really want to focus on the core thing that they do. And you said it, community. They focus on their gaming community, or their creator economy community, or their social network community. And adopting Web3 requires some knowledge, resources that make it challenging. So having a partner that can make it easy to launch a token economy is key. So here's some of the challenges that many projects have. One is they have a small market cap, and so they were not able to be listed on a decentralized or centralized exchange, so there's no liquidity, and they just don't know how to do pricing as well. Secondly, they need to have a way to kickstart a market, whether that's, if they can't be listed on a decentralized exchange, then they need another way, whether in our particular cases, we offer token bonding curves, which work for small communities up to very large ones. And if you're not familiar with the token bonding curve, it's a form of a market maker where we have 4 different curves, and they're basically quadratic formulas that say if the quantity is this of tokens, then the price is automatically this. And then they're bonded to our own token, the RLY token, which is ERC20, so they have instant pricing and liquidity. So it's basically token economies in a box. We also have some other ways to support these economies. We offer grants, and we also have a reward structure, which we're changing at the moment to make it easier. And so we have open source code, and then online events, and the developers learn from each other. One of our partners is SuperLayer Venture Studio, and they are working hand in hand with large projects, and they have launched a number of apps using RLY protocol, and some of them have been very successful, and we can talk about those in a minute. So to answer your question, communities and developers want to be in Web3, but there's a number of barriers, from liquidity, pricing, kickstarting, and just getting some revenues into the community and for themselves. And we provide all those solutions to our B2B partners.
Wow, that's incredible. And you're completely right about the beginning, setting up the token part of it it's like a whole nother company. It's like trying to run a public company.
It's a cold start problem, right?
Yeah, it's like trying to run the stock and trying to run the company, and they're almost two separate things. And you sort of need to have that expertise. Good to rely on somebody like RLY to provide that expertise. And I hinted at the beginning that gaming communities are, I feel like, some of the strongest communities, I think, in blockchain that would benefit from this. Are you seeing a wide variety of different blockchain companies taking advantage of this, or is there a common trend?
Yes, so we are absolutely seeing adoption of consumer and casual games, specifically in Asia, that use Rally Protocol. So some of our partners, in particular Joyride Games, has a game platform where other developers can load their own games onto their game meta, or they also have produced their own games such as Solitaire Blitz. Another one is a pool game called Trick Shot, and they have a tennis game, which uses fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens in combination in these economies. And users or gamers are using this for play to earn, but also redeeming tokens for upgrading and other things as well. And those things are just being experimented with as well. But when you look, Ashton, at most social networks, they too act like games. People are vying for followers and likes, and a lot of those things can be tokenized too, right? One of the big challenges with Web 2 is the Web 2 platforms are exploiting the creators. And so now we're seeing that social networks, there's another one working with us called Talkie, also in Southeast Asia, that rewards creators with tokens, as well as those that are participating. And they can even have their own branded tokens, creator coins, using our software, Rally Protocol. And the users can earn, and they also do peer-to-peer tipping and thanking each other with the Talkie coins powered by Rally Protocol. So we want to enable that different level of peer-to-peer. Mm-hmm. And so those are some examples, like games and gamification exists in all types of apps. We've also seen some other projects too. We have Gambit, which has been focused on sports fantasy gaming. We have other players coming in as well. So lots of growth, especially in the Asia area right now.
Wow, that's interesting to hear. And we have spoken with Taki on the show before, and I'm specifically interested in the social media network aspect of Web3 platforms, because the Web2 social media networks are the largest companies in the world, and I feel like no one has really gotten it right with these Web3 social media platforms, which when one does, it's going to break out into potentially billions of users and probably be the onboarder of everyone into Web3. And from what I've seen, way back to 2016, Steam and some of the other social networks, the token economy and sort of managing that, and with creators, as you mentioned, they're sort of being taken advantage of, finding a way to flip that script so that creators are earning tokens, but fairly, in a manner that they can't exploit the network and exploit the token. I feel like that's a huge problem right now. I'm interested to hear, how Rally Network will help with that, and it seems that there's no one perfect solution right now.
Yeah, there's no one perfect solution, and we're also, that brings up a great point. We also work in the creator economy, where we have like individual creators that have their own communities that function like social networks. They often rely on Discord or Telegram or Twitter, so they're using the existing Web2, and they each have their own token economies. So each individual app has their own way that they're doing token economies. So there's no silver bullet, no single path that companies are taking this forward with. But I generally see, Ashton, that there's like four models that need to happen in a token economy so you can achieve network effects. And I wanted to share those with you and the amazing audience here. So the first thing to do, and this is usually the foundation of my speeches at conferences, is you need to get that token into circulation. So you need to have a business plan, a marketing plan. And there's three subsets under that. Is you either airdrop it, or the community earns it, or they swap or buy it, bringing in crypto or USD fiat. The second strategy is providing perks for those token holders. And this is critical. We saw a popular game that was play to earn when the market collapsed in spring. They had massive liquidation and sell pressure because they did not have enough of those perks provided. So what can you get by holding the tokens, whether it's fungible or NFT? It doesn't matter, right? So, and there has to be a roadmap, a promise for that to happen. And then the third one is redemption utility. So you can turn in those tokens, the fungible tokens, to receive goods, services, or experiences. And then the fourth level, and this one is the network effects. It's a peer-to-peer ecosystem. The most successful token economies, and we have not seen many examples of this. I'd say the closest that we've seen to date is probably the ape coin from Bored Apes, where it's being used by Animoca gamers. It's being used by Sandbox. There's swap mechanisms in other exchanges. And so that's the highest order when the community is actually choosing how they will use it peer-to-peer. And the originator, the creator of that token, may not be even involved in those decisions. So getting your coin into circulation, perks, redemption, and then network effects through peer-to-peer. Those are the 4 levels that every single token economy strategy must have.
All great points, Jeremiah, and you're completely right about the utility, and it's a great example with Bored Apes, where when you have a product and a community that is well established, you can sort of hand over that governance to the community and again trust that they will use the token and the community as best fit for the community.
That's right.
With talking about utility of the token and like having RLY Network help with that. It sort of gives me a thought about the like incubators and helpers of projects grow, and I find that there's a balance for these projects where obviously you have to focus on the token to help grow the community, but some projects focus too much on the token and not actually, like a product market fit, especially if it's a industry use case that's not really in Web3 or not technically savvy. They're so focused on the token. What about the product itself really needs to be up to par? Otherwise, you're just going to have a token that's circulating in Web3 and not really like a useful product. Agreed.
And if you don't have the focus on the community and enabling people to be loyal to each other, where the relationships matter, and even physical world meetups, like that is something that a token doesn't actually, those are on-chain and off-chain benefits. You have to apply for both of those. I totally agree. And if you don't have those, Ashton, you're right, you'll have incredible sell pressure risks when the market starts to dip down. So agreed with that.
Mm-hmm. And with the companies that come into the RLY Network and you're helping them with the tokenized consumer applications and the tokens, is there any requirements for them to ensure that they are a company that has that product market fit, or they've got the other boxes checked that your team isn't helping with?
Sure. So a bit about RLY Network Association. That's the official name of our group. We're based in Switzerland. We're a nonprofit. Our investors, I'm just giving this background so it'll make sense on who we're working with. We are backed by Andreessen Horowitz and also Coinbase Ventures and other fine investors. The founding team comes from the gaming space. The founders of Kabam were the original team, as well as we're associated with the prior team of Forte, different organizations, of course. And we are a permissionless protocol. So that means any developer can grab the code on Gitbook and they can implement. So we found that developers that are already working in Web3 can spin up a branded token within 30 minutes to 60 minutes. There's a Web2 developer, it took him 2 hours. He works on Microsoft Azure products, 2 hours to spin up a token. So that gives you the range of how quickly that can be done. There's no approval process. There's no registration required. You can grab the code. And then we also do provide grants, and we are looking for apps that will have growth opportunities, and we are providing those grants to different projects. We are on Solana, Ethereum, Matic, and many of our partners are using Flow as well, so we count that. We're looking at other chains as well. We have a $15 billion fixed, and about 80% of those tokens are still in our treasury. So we've been very careful on a slow release of the project. So we would love, to your question, Ashton, to work with consumer apps that are going to be launching millions of wallets and transactions, especially if they're Web2 companies that really just want to stay focused on to your point, the community that they love, and they want to outsource the token economics platforms and middleware to us. We'll make sure that they are on multiple chains and have the liquidity and the pricing, and also we have financial grants.
Wow. Well, that's a great background, and yeah, I'm glad that your team is working with multiple blockchains to sort of allow any application that's wants to start testing it out in an hour or less to work with that. And now I want to dive a little bit more into the RLY token and
Sure.
the other companies' tokens that they're working with. I'm seeing the RLY token as like an added value, but do the companies have to, are they relying on the RLY token network? Like say they've they've grown up their ecosystem and then they want to branch off, or are they tied to the RLY network because like that's how they've grown their communities?
Yes, good question. So some of our projects are in a multi-token scenario, and they could have 1, 2, 3 tokens. At 4, it's fine. So just first, from the RLY token, that is our core token, and then from there, an application can launch their own coin. Just let's for the concept of today, let's just say the blockchain interviews token. That could be one. You could also have sub tokens for individual creators. Like there could be an Ashton coin that's a sub token of blockchain interviews token. So that's just one. But we also have other companies that are using other tokens, and that's fine too. It's fine if a developer wants to use our open source code, such as the token bonding curves, to apply to a different token. That's fine too. We've made that available to all. So we certainly would like and encourage people to use the RLY token, and we have financial incentives such as grants and rewards to encourage that behavior. But we understand that at some point they may want to launch their own or just be using a native token like Solana or Ethereum. We totally understand that.
Definitely good to know. And as RLY Network continues to grow, obviously you're going to be adding more projects to help them out, but how is RLY, like say 1 year from now, what else is RLY Network adding in to provide more value and grow their network?
Yeah, got it. I can't spill the specifics, but I will tell you one of the pain points that we have identified and we're building solutions for now. One of the, well, there's 2 aspects. One of them is that we're seeing that Web2 developers are struggling to answer these questions. Do I have a custodial wallet or a user-owned non-custodial wallet? And secondly, the second part of that question is, okay, if it's a non-custodial self-managed wallet, how do I get them to sign up without suffering security operations concerns when it comes to managing their seed phrase and then doing an extension, or do I need to have an in-app experience, which might make it easier, but then it's, then I'm managing somebody else's assets. So we know that is a challenge, and we're working on some products that will be enhancing the existing protocol to help solve some of those onboarding issues. So more news on that soon. Secondly, one of our key partners is the RLY DAO, which is now called Somewhere Street. They're going to be launching some unique perks that we talked about earlier for token holders. And this team is Web3 native, and they understand how to foster community. And so we'll have some announcements around how they are going to continue to expand. So those are just 2 areas that we're continuing to grow in. But I can also imagine that if you go to our website, rly.network, you'll see there's around a dozen logos of different Web 2.5/Web3 projects. We would love to see 100 logos in a year from now. So we're just preparing the infrastructure during this time to build when the market is down, and we're readying to onboard the Web2 games and Web2 communities and Web2 social networks as the market picks back up. So we're in a good place, and we're well funded in order to achieve that goal.
Wow, great to hear. And with the wallets specifically, obviously that's a huge barrier to entry for example, if there's a Web2 game that already has millions of players, you
right.
have to get them a wallet if they're going to start getting into Web3. So to find a way to do that fast and secure, more importantly,
exactly,
is important.
Those are the 2 things.
Great, Jeremiah. Well, all of this is super exciting. I'm really looking forward to following along with RLY Network and seeing how the project grows. And I'm going to look into the DAO as well, because I know that that's becoming an ever more important aspect of these networks. So with that said, if there are other projects that are just launching now, or they already have a DApp and they're interested in learning about these tokenized consumer apps and getting involved with RLY Network, what's the best way for them to reach out and to learn more?
Yeah, great. First of all, go to rly.network. That is our website. And we actually have an upcoming event November 16th. And if you go to the news section, you'll see towards the bottom, you can find we're going to have a virtual summit. And we will actually be having the entrepreneurs, many who I just talked about, will be presenting about their project and what have they done with their token economies and what are they thinking about in the future. So that's a great way to learn. And don't worry, if you can't attend that, we'll be putting those videos on YouTube. Secondly, at the top of the site, there's a section called Developer Resources. That's where you're going to find all that code. There's 3 easy steps to get going, and there's a link to the application for the grant. So we can't wait to work with everybody.
Incredible. Thank you so much. And I will leave those links in the description box below as well. Appreciate your time, Jeremiah, and your insights into this. All the best with RLY Network moving forward, and let's follow up in the near future.
Thank you, Ashton, and everyone.